Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to Roundup. Nah, you get to do it.
This guy.
I was like, Ash is like looking down, writing something, and then Luce just let fly.
Yeah.
No. I don't want to say howdy because it's like I feel.
No,
bad.
it's
You
on
gotta say
brand.
it.
It's
Trademark.
on brand.
It is on
Trademark.
brand. Yeah,
All right,
true.
this is the intro. Well, like just us talking about how you don't want to say howdy.
Actually, well, I guess we haven't done that. Yeah, we should do more of these style intros. So, not howdy, everybody, because it's episode 10 or the RMR, the promised RMR special. Not entirely when we wanted to, like, we didn't want to put it at this part of the RMR, but whatever. RMRs are all wrapped up now, so we're going to be going through them from pretty much all of them except like the CIS one and the South American one. That was combined with the NA one. I don't know. Heads all over the place. We're going to start the OCE, then we're going to talk about the EU one, and then we're going to talk about the NA one. Because IM Fall was it was huge. It was ridiculous. I know that I watched a lot of games from the EU and the NA portion. Don't really remember the OS one at this point.
Yeah, it was so long ago, wasn't it? Because it got done so early that everything else kind of overtook it.
Yeah, but, I think Renegades were like one of the first teams to get locked in for the event as well. But that's the other cool thing. We now know all of the teams for the major, so that's a little added benefit of leaving the RMR special until now. I also got a haircut for anyone playing at home. Thank you. I agree. I think it looks really good. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. I guess not before I thanks Blue microphones though, because
Can't forget them.
My Blue is great. You can hear absolutely everything inside and outside this room. Because I'm terrible at all of the amazing settings it has, but I never have a problem with people hearing me.
Definitely not.
Yeah, unfortunate for them.
Really unfortunate. No. So look, there's been a lot of interesting Counter-Strike. There's been a lot of interesting things happening. As you said, major coming up. 2 weeks from when we're recording this, I believe, is when the major's set to start. Yeah. Almost around 2 years since the last major, pretty much. Absolutely wild. I'm very keen to see how it's going to go. And I think like this has been a time where everyone's just been really excited because it feels like this is the pinnacle of where Counter-Strike is going to be internationally, the biggest event that we've had in all this time. And it's going to be fully on land. It's going to be fully with an arena and crowd as well. Going to have an absolutely star-studded lineup of talent. And to kick it all off, of course, is how the RMRs have gone. But before we get into that, one quick bit of news that we got to cover on the O side of things, and that is the fact that Paradox ended up picking up a new lineup.
Indeed, the former Rooster players. So that's the team with Danger, Spudwrecker, Danny G, Chell, and the other player that I forget. For some reason,
you've just done him dirty.
I've just done him I'm so sorry. It's no. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm gonna remember naturally. But I'm super happy with the pickup. No, I'm gonna remember it. He says as he goes to open up his notes. But it's good to see that again there is some sort of interest at least for teams in this region. I think it's a good sign. I know before in other episodes we were talking about how Ground Zero was like the only sort of roster at the org at the moment who's actually picking up a team when we saw Direwolves and Chiefs stepping back. So, maybe I think people are blowing up the fact that, this team who has the fifth player of JCG.
It's JCG.
There we go. We got there in the end.
The poor guy's been strung out for a minute now.
So sorry.
And you call yourself a journalist.
Yeah, fake news. Trash.
No,
but anyway, I think it's good. It's a good sign. They seem quite happy with the org. I like all the banter with the old players like Badonka and stuff still tweeting as if they are like still the lineup. It's funny. Like, what do you mean I've got a game tonight?
Look, I'm happy for the team. I'm happy for the Rooster lineup, and I'm happy that Paradox have come back in so soon. I guess after their initial departure, they did say that they were interested in staying in the scene, and I'm glad they came to an agreement with the Rooster team, and the fact that the Rooster team can still keep their kind of different brand of like we mentioned on socials, the fact that they can bring that under Paradox, and Paradox have kind of got along with it as well. We need more of that in the scene. So fantastic to see them picked up, and they've pretty much been bang on the money as they've gone. With Paradox, they had the very close series against Order, that narrow loss at DreamHack Open, and they'll be putting out more matches this week at ESEA Premier Finals. So we'll touch on that a bit later on. But look, in general, it's just so good for the scene that we see an org like Paradox stick in there, and they deserve it. All the good things coming to them, and hopefully into 2022 as well.
Well,
yeah, really glad to see Paradox like sticking around in the game, as you said, but also that roster like looking really sharp for quite some time. So really good to see them getting that extra support and stuff. So all round a great move.
An interesting fact for them, like going into the RMR, they had RMR points. So there was a world where I think at the time they were still Rooster, but there was some mathematical way that they almost could have gone to the major at the RMR if they hadn't have ended up falling short.
They dropped a Vertex, I think, in that final match, which is what sealed the deal for them. And I guess we'll use this to segue into the OCE RMR event, where unbelievably, shockingly, it is Renegades representing Oceania at the Stockholm Major, making it through over looking for org. Not before the X-Direwolf squad put them through their paces in the upper bracket. That was an incredible series to watch. That victory there over Renegades. Kind of shocking. Not the most shocking thing for the event for me. I think we'll touch on Order's performance in a little bit. But Renegades, what can you say? They go in with the winning advantage, the map advantage in the best of 5 this time, and they just cruised the whole way.
Yeah. I mean, absolute shocker. Renegades win an Oceanic Counter-Strike event. Holy shit, who would have thought, right?
I'm not... I was thinking about this, and I think it's just for the best that Renegades were going to win this anyway. I think they have the best chance as the OS representative. I was worried that, if looking for org got through, there'll be shenanigans. Like, are they actually going to be able to get overseas? And then at that point, I don't know 100% how they invite the next team for the region, or if they just take another EU squad at that point. Or, Order haven't had to send a team overseas since like 2019, so I don't know if they would have been able to sort out all the visa shit. So I'm just glad, for simplicity's sake, that Renegades actually just crushed this event.
Because we've seen as of late how with international events and OCE teams can not exactly go as expected. For anyone who hasn't seen,
Renegades missed out on the last thing of Pro League. So
anyone who hasn't seen like the whole drama on that other FPS game with those two teams, Order and Chiefs, missing their last chance qualifier for in NA for that game because of that whole...
I don't remember any last chance qualifiers in Rainbow Six, the other FPS.
But so it always has been a bit of a worry, I think, that we would even see an OCE team in the Stockholm Major. I think it's very reassuring in a way that Renegades did, because I feel like they would have definitely been planning the longest. They definitely would have already been sorting things out. And evidently they're currently now in Europe. They made it over. So very good to see. I think that as far as teams go here, they probably have the best chance. I think it's safe to say out of any team that could have gone for doing, putting up some good results in the major. Look, I'm really keen to see how Renegades go, of course, because they've been showing this consistent dominant form in OS. But that being said, just looking at the bracket and looking at how the games went, the second biggest story there absolutely being how Looking for Org went, X-Direwolves that being. Absolutely monstrous performances coming out with that 2-1 victory over Order, taking a map off Renegades in the upper bracket final, and then making it through the lowers to knock out Order and meet Renegades once again in the grand final, which unfortunately didn't take a map in the grand final. Renegades really just kind of stepped up at that point. But, I mean, still absolutely massive performance. And where for a while we've kind of been, pitting Order as solidly our kind of second team in OC, that kind of shakes things up in my book. because it really shows that things can change, and it really seems like these players, this team overall, has just really come into their own.
Yeah, this new style that they've employed with Licky as well coming on as the IGL, the captain of the roster.
Benson Pog.
I guess the big question to me is, can we call them the second best in the region without any titles? And look, to me, it has to be a yes, because we just have so few titles this year. This year is just so unique. It's a bit of an anomaly. I think we'll look back on it as such. But if we're talking about recent form, LFO have got Order covered on almost every basis. And that's saying something, given Order have pretty much not dropped a single map or series to anyone other than Renegades, Avant, and then one match or something to Rooster, I think, this year.
Yeah.
So Order have been on top of the world outside of Renegades. If Renegades aren't at an event, it's been Order's playground. But following the player break, LFO have come out swinging, and I think the general consensus is they are the second best team in the region now.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I just don't think there's a lot to really contest, all those things you're saying. Yeah. So it all comes down to, sort of the last couple events, for the year before we kind of know that. But we'll, one of those last events is going to be the major for the Renegades. Not relevant to anyone else in OS, of course. I just wanted to quickly have a look at where they're sitting. So they qualify as a new challenger. So technically, that new, they extended the major, and now it's like 24 teams. It's not like the old 16-team major. And it's the Swiss format again, which we don't see a lot internationally. We see it here in ANZ Champs like twice a year. So it's, we're a bit used to Swiss. I think these guys, BO1 Swiss, you look at some of the teams, Astralis are looking weak. I see Renegades upsetting. They've done it before. Teams like Movistar Riders, Pain, Copenhagen Flames, Entropic, Sharks, Tyloo. Like, Renegades can upset all of these teams. I see a top 16 finish here for them, which is good. It'll bring some awareness back to the region. I'm sure they're appreciating all the stickers. Yeah. I'm excited to see who that first round draw that they get is, and pray that it's not like Ents or Mouse Sports. I will cry if it's Mouse Sports, but we'll talk about that in a second.
That'd be so cruel.
It will happen, 100%.
Mouse Sports have got no one to blame but themselves for that finish. They should not be in the challenger stage. But yes, we'll get to that. Best of one, best of three Swiss as well for the elimination matches, I think. But yeah, looking at some of the other teams, there's a lot of upset potential, which I think makes this major very exciting.
The challenger stage is actually insane.
It's cutthroat, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is going to be a cutthroat bottom 16 technically, before we get to those top 8 teams. But Renegades, good on them, and I'm sure they'll do us proud. They want to make up for their lost opportunity at ESL Pro League 14, and there's no better place to do it than the major.
They're going to be hungry for this. I can't wait to see how it goes. Moving on. Obviously,
let's talk about the best of IEM Fall Europe.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I watched a lot of this. Like, I think I watched pretty much the only group I didn't really watch was Group C. But the one that's relevant to us is Group B and Group A. Yeah. And fuck, it is like I cannot deal with the round robin, like tiebreaker stuff. All of this was just so much for my brain to handle. So let's get it out of the way. What graphic have we got up right now? Hold on, let me check. Let's talk about Cole first. Let's do this backwards.
Okay, all right. Group B.
Cole out. I need to get this out of the way because I am so upset. They were in Group B.
There we go.
They had an absolute stinker. Astralis topped the group undefeated. Movistar Riders were kind of like the real big surprise for me, alongside Sinners. And Heroic got through third. Complexity only managed to win one map, and that was against Endpoint, who had a stand-in. What's going on? This team is an absolute mess.
It's cursed. They're the most cursed organization that have come out of the COVID times, as I guess we'll call it.
Yeah.
We see the likes of player injuries. We have Oboe left the team at the start. This was before they picked up JKS. We lost Config with his wrist injury. They've picked up coldzera, who on paper should be very strong, but the fact that you're putting what most people think is a very passive lurk style player into a team with Blame F and JKS, it's the puzzle pieces don't fit. And the fact that it was so soon going into such an event, they only came into the event with 420 RMR points. That is, they needed a points finish here, and
they needed minimum 9th place. So not only did they a top 2 in the group would have been great, they would have gotten automatically into the major. But worst case scenario, they needed to finish 3rd. And I think despite, Sinners sort of being a bit of a revelation in the group in just how strong they were, dude, with this lineup and everything, it's meant to be the juggernaut. I think it's the juggernaut. It's so disappointing.
It's very much so, especially for Justin. We really want to see as many of the Aussies make it to the major, and
absolutely.
It is going to be back to the drawing board, especially with Config announcing his departure, and I'm sure his subsequent he should be joining Australis following the major.
Probably,
I believe that is almost
straight.
Yeah, that's almost 100% going ahead. It's going to be back to the drawing board for Complexity. We don't know if coldzera is going to be a permanent addition to the squad, but if he is, then they've got a lot of work to do on the strategy side of the game and on the positioning side, because right now it's not working.
Yeah, no, it just feels like, and this feels like such a consistent thing as well. If you go back and you listen to some of our previous episodes, whenever we bring up complexities, it always just seems like this is the kind of tone we've had to take, because it's been like, complexity, they've shown promise here and there, and it really seems like something could work, and then right as we're getting to that point, the kind of do or die for the major, biggest thing in 2 years, it, instead of that promise finally coming through through all this effort and all the things that these players have been prepping for, it just really seems like they just fall flat. It's really disappointing to see, because I think we were saying plenty, there definitely seemed to be a lot of potential, at least on paper, for this lineup. It really seemed like there was more that would maybe be ahead, or that maybe would be able to get out of these players, but just for whatever reason, it just has not worked to the same kind of degree. And it's been such a shame, because it also just really seems like, I don't know what it is with the complexity side of things, but I'm kind of in a way a bit surprised that we haven't seen, I don't know, maybe more of a vocal push from them as well. Because I saw this tweet on my timeline earlier today, and it was like, if you think about the former complexity lineup, of how when they were underperforming, how Jason Lake was tweeting about it and all this, and wanting the whole talk about wanting to build a juggernaut and this and that, and it still just hasn't worked out.
I think the big
now
part
we're
of
seeing
that,
the same sort of thing come back.
The big part of that was this sort of they might have just pranked themselves into the majors coming up. We've got these RMR points. We can't afford to do these changes, and I think that post PGL will be a sort of a relief for complexity, because they're like, look, we're not held back by this. Oh, do we make changes? Is it going to screw our chances up? It's a sort of a restart. We failed the major to even get there. Let's just start again, and hopefully Jason Lake is willing to do what is necessary.
I mean, I would also say if they needed to make changes, that it probably should have come sooner, because sure, you might take the hit to your RMR points, but if you're not winning anyways, and you're not going to be able to get through, maybe it's worth changing some stuff up,
Yeah. I mean, who would you keep on this lineup right now? Let's assume that coldzera stays on. I think, in my opinion, you've got to keep Blame F. The guy's got so much natural talent. He's a smart guy. He's proven to be one of the best in the game before. He hasn't been recently, because he's just been chopping and changing his roles. Who goes with him from this current lineup, you think?
I think I think as far as with the coldzera change coming in, I think that's something where we're still going to need more time to see how it goes. Mm-hmm. Definitely changes like that with a player being swapped out. It's a shame that it didn't happen earlier, because I think maybe we would, even if they had to take that point hit, maybe still would have seen more towards the end, maybe in this RMR as well. But yeah, it's just really hard to, it's kind of hard to say in a way, as much as it is like there obviously were changes needed, I think at the very least, we'll have to see if this one will work out. But even then, it just seems overall like whatever's there with the team isn't really just sticking or just working out in general, as opposed to like any individual player maybe being the problem.
I would keep, hear me out, I would keep Blame, S-Tag, and Cold. Keep Peacemaker as the coach. And is Zips leaving Astralis for...
Zipex is he's leaving Astralis, but that's all we've heard so far.
I reckon grab Zip and then +1. You probably need an order at that point.
You're replacing JKS and Poison. So you're replacing JKS with Zipex as a support player.
Yep.
And the clutch minister like we had.
Yeah.
Now you need an AWPer.
Right.
How many are on the market? There's so many.
Grab from Mouse Force. It'd be cheap.
Sound like you're putting together your HLTV fantasy teams instead of actually assembling a lineup. But I get it.
I don't think you keep Blame. It's Blame or JKS. I think, and Poison is just
okay.
It's there. He's like Cirque. He can pop off. Sometimes he is like cold as ice, though. Sometimes he just is hot garbage.
They can
not like, I don't know. It's just not any fault of his own. It just isn't working. And how long can you keep the team together and say, let's try and make this work before you just like, you throw away 18 months when you could be winning titles. I'd rather them just start again.
Yeah.
Okay. Question though. If you were to change out JKS on that lineup and you were to take him out of it, where would you put him? What do you think would be an ideal place to put him?
I reckon send Rops to FaZe. Get rid of Olaf. Okay, Olaf retires. Send Rops to FaZe. JKS goes and plays with Dexter on Mouse. And, I don't know, Cole grabs Zip. And
I'm waiting
Config goes to Astralis. That's like big brain.
Waiting for 3 months' time when
if that's right, mate. If that's right, we're going to have to... those sirens we heard before, they're coming for you. That's too much. That's too much there.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see that happen though. That in my head is like my wet dream.
It's not out of the. Here's the thing, because we're going to be coming back into this LAN environment. That's what this complexity lineup was built for. It was built to compete on LAN. These guys are all very strong players in a LAN environment. There haven't been any LANs. They're out of time, in my opinion, and they will have to make changes, which is not ideal for them. But at the end of the day, so many teams are going to make changes going into next year. It's the roster change is going to be all over the shop.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be the greatest post-major shuffle I've ever seen.
Oh, amazing! Yeah. It's going to be a sight to behold, to be sure.
Let's quickly do Mouse Sports because we keep saying their name. And they, by the skin of their teeth, got through.
Alarm bells, though. Alarm bells are ringing for this lineup.
They didn't earn any RMR points at IEM4, so they played in Group A. I believe. And that was the one where Copenhagen Flames was sort of like, what the hell? They went through 5-0.
Yeah, they were the sinners of that group, except obviously a lot more successful there.
Yeah, and then, G2, you expect that. And Aura, I still don't even remember who this team is. So they were the end point. And it just sort of left us with Big, Mouse, and FPX. So... This is where the whole round robin shenanigans kicked off, and it was ridiculous for anyone watching the event at home. We went into these tiebreakers. Mouse Sports needed to guarantee themselves a spot, I think a top 10 or top 11 finish to guarantee it. That would have just been great, Considering the form we've seen them in, I was like, it could happen, fingers crossed, like even if they just sort of get into third. And of course, we ended up 3-way tie. Whole bunch of tiebreakers where Big were the team who came out on top. And Mouse Sports just got knocked out. They finished with no RMR points. They finished in the 13th to 16th alongside Sinners, Dig, and Double Pony. And everyone was just stressed for the rest of the tournament because they were waiting on a whole bunch of other results to see if they would actually make it. And, that's not what you want to see. Like you said, alarm bells should be going off at this point. This isn't a confident major qualification at all.
No, it's not. And as you said before, with pieces like Rops and Frozen on the lineup, who have both been in premium form, the team to me has not has not been successful, in my opinion. It started off very strong. We obviously saw that Flashpoint victory, which got them enough RMR points for the major, thankfully, in Dexter's case. It really still feels like it's just 5 players that have been thrown together. There's not enough cohesion for a team that's been around for months.
Yeah.
So this major is very make or break, and it's not even going to be a top 8 that's going to save them. I feel like it's going to be they need a much stronger result for this lineup as a 5 to go ahead. There's obviously heaps of pieces that are around Europe that could make this team better. Obviously not going into the major, I'm talking post. But right now, I'd be very worried for them with 2 weeks out before the challenger stage, and with this challenger stage being as ferocious as generally as it always is, I'd be very worried for him indeed.
I see 2 big criticisms for this team, and I'll be honest, I sort of agree with both. One is very obvious, and it's sort of just how weak A-Core is as a player. While he has, good sort of peaks, his troughs are like the absolute bottom of the ocean.
I don't even think he peaks. It's like his peaks are just plateaus that are just mediocre. Like it's not like he's Guardian out here just hitting incredible shots and single-handedly winning the odd round. He's just kind of there,
That doesn't help, but something I see a lot of, and it's a criticism of Dexter and how he calls. And I remember when he was with Renegades, his big thing is sort of he'd call around the pieces, and it's this very don't like to play a lot of set. It's very reactionary. It's very information on the map. Let the individuals shine.
Yeah.
But a lot of people sort of rip into that because it might just not be a style that works as the top 10. It works if you're Renegades and you're a top 30 team who wants to, like, reactionarily, is that a word? Beat the top teams. But as a top team, you can only go so far with that. And I watch Mouse Sports, and I just don't know if they have the tactical, depth that maybe they should have if they want to keep playing so well. Because, you look at that Flashpoint win, there was nothing fancy. It was just these godlike performances that are yet to be replicated.
Yeah. Like, it's nice when you have strats and things that can really augment those mechanics and play around it and, play for those info picks and things like that. But ultimately, to really break into that, like, what separates, a good team from, like, a great team as far as, like, when you're getting up there certainly has to do with being able to, like, call appropriately and have that kind of depth and strategy to be able to, be unexpected, be, in those different places. And yeah, as you said, like, it really seems like if Mouz have that there with them as a quality, that they're not really it's not really shining through at the moment, it seems. And you can certainly get some wins like that Flashpoint win off being able to just play very in the moment and very playing around those mid-round calls and things like that. But ultimately, the question of whether or not it's going to be enough really just depends on those opponents you're facing. And when you get to those higher tier opponents, you get to the point where Mouz is out at whether they should be challenging those higher tiers. It certainly gets thrown up in the air as to whether or not they'll be able to pull through.
I don't remember a Mouse Sports win. I don't remember a half that was like a really good CT half or a really good T side. I remember Rops popping off. I remember Frozen getting multi-kills. But I know, how sometimes you'll just see an amazing CT side from like a vintage Astralis CT side where all of the pieces come together. You see how it all works. Mouse Sports is I just remember individual players because I don't know. I just don't think there's much else. Or if there is, it's not shining through at all.
Yep. I know. I'm just very worried for him. And
I want to see good things.
I think
I really do.
Personally, I think they'll make it out of the challenger stage. It'll be close. As far as going further, I struggle to see them go too much further than that, and that to me is going to spell the end of this lineup in the form that we take it. Do we replace one piece with it with A-Core, or is Rops or Frozen going to decide that enough is enough, and what will this lineup look like without them? That's going to be the biggest questions going forward.
Time will tell. Super worried for if anything happens with Dexter's role in the team, because I don't know where he goes if that falls through.
personally,
I doubt it. I doubt anything, but like that's just always in the back of my mind.
For Mouse Sports to take this risk, to pick up Dexter, I think his spot is safe in the lineup. But
I think Mrs. got his back as well. I think
that's right. That's the main thing when you've got a coach and a player who are so in tune with each other.
Yeah.
I just think that the players just don't fit the framework. So I think Dexter's going to be fine. I think Dexter's European adventure is definitely not going to come to an end at the first stop, which is essentially what this is going to be. So I think we're going to see some changes to the lineup. I think Dexter's still going to lead it though. So good luck to Mouse Sports. I really hope they prove me wrong, but my expectations are not as high as I'd like.
And just on that note as well, like if they don't make it through the first stage of the major, that like I think that they have to, because it just seems so like that's just the bare minimum that you would expect from them.
Yeah.
But I think the fact is that like I can still throw that up in the air as a question, in all honesty.
I think
because there are some
them not making top 16 will be the same as Complexity not even qualifying. Like it's the same level of like what the hell.
Yeah, but the thing is that did happen with Complexity, so it can happen. Like that it's not something that we can say it's safe whatsoever. You would think that it would be safe for Mouse given the teams that are there. You'd think by now that it's not something that you would even question, but I have to.
Yep.
It really just seems like there's a lot of things that could go wrong with this, but obviously hoping the best for Dexter and his crew. I really want to see them pull off a good performance and put our minds at ease, but time will tell. Major starts in 2 weeks. Better hope that they're putting in the work and ready to show up on game day.
That's it. All right, Taffy, have you got a box of tissues nearby?
I was going to say the major starts in 2 weeks, but it won't be starting for any of the Renegades top 4 from Berlin, my beloved Renegades now EXTREMUM lineup, who have unceremoniously crashed out of the IEM Fall NA RMR. Well, we say unceremoniously. Maybe my expectations were too high, because what I saw was nothing short of a disgrace, in my opinion. It was absolutely. I think Ash brought it up in the notes here. The fact that the first 2 maps they came in. Now they stomped 3 of their maps. The 3 maps they won, they had 0 problems, but they're beating teams like Extra Salt or Bad News Bears. Those teams, to me, it's a sign of the times for North America. They're in a very bad way.
Yeah.
But the fact that they come in using M4A4s, they come in with the same tactics that we've seen them employ for years now.
Yeah.
Nothing changed for this lineup, where they achieved next to nothing in Europe. The main achievement that they had coming into this was the fact that they brought in the number 1 spot and the most amount of RMR points. And it should have been enough. There were scenarios where they didn't need any points from this tournament, and they would have been the major. They would have been in contender stage, the challenger stage, as a contender, as a low seed. But they wouldn't have needed anything. But instead, what we got was a perfect storm of triple overtime, triple tiebreakers in the other group, some results that should have been EXTREMUM's to win, and overall just a complete lack of just anything good. Really, it wasn't good enough, in my opinion.
I mean, I just have to say, like, it really fucking hurts seeing like these beloved players from OCE who the last time we had majors happening, literally with that top 4 finish, or that that top finish at the Starlighter Major, where we saw the peak of where they could go. What the fuck happened, guys?
It was so frustrating, because I think the amount of RMR points they had going into this gave the illusion that like, oh yeah, I haven't watched EXTREMUM play at all this year, but like they should still be good. And Taffy mentioned it there. I remember very distinctly on Vertigo, they just aren't up with the meta, because sure they might be cracking heaps, but like in the officials, it's just they don't know what they're doing. It took them so long. The analyst desk, every segment on EXTREMUM was, haven't seen them play. There's no data to go off of. No idea what form they're in. Don't know if they've got like a different map pool. Don't know what's going on. so many question marks. Each game, Grat would pop off here, and then just like that wouldn't hear from him again for the rest of the event. And then like Jacob popped off on one map, and it's like whatever.
Oh, it was the Jacob show. It felt like Jacob was on top of the world. Ben Tet was a support role where he was really chiming in, particularly on Inferno and Mirage, 2 maps that he's always been strong with, going back to Tyloo. But and obviously Azza was there as the caller. He still puts in solid enough numbers as the IGL, but I've got to say I'm just let down by our other Aussie boys, and obviously Gratisfaction as the Kiwi. It's Liaz and Grat together they've been pretty poor this year for any map that we've seen them in. Grat had one incredible map, and we just didn't get enough out of him for the rest of the event. And I know a lot of the players, and I know Cassard was also tweeting about the format and the fact that, and Yanko as well, the fact that Evil Geniuses, the team that ended up getting through, EG, winning 2 best of ones against North American teams, getting wiped out in their other 2 games. They got a forfeit win, which was enough to get them to the tiebreakers, which went for hours because no one could manage the best of the MR3. And then to get to that best of 3, and just look, the format was poor. I'm not a fan of the format. The tiebreakers were poor, but EXTREMUM did not earn the spot, in my opinion. And obviously they did not get it.
I agree. Well, it's
same.
It's like you can point to this. My approach to this is you can point to all of the things that went wrong that led to them not qualifying, but at the same time, they just had to win They just had to win one of the other games.
Yeah.
Or they just had to beat EG, and they would have had it. So, they could only play the format that was put in front of them, whether it's amazing or not. And
100% agree. Yeah.
I still wildly prefer this than the old sort of style of like, legend invites and all of that bullshit. This is a lot better. And now that we won't have to deal with this whole, like the whole Renegades thing, just having 100 extra points because of the Rio major bit.
Yeah.
Now that that's gone as well, hopefully a little bit of this is resolved, but boy, do EXTREMUM stink.
I mean, that's it's rough. Yeah. But the thing is as well, that's probably the most disappointing is it's the fact that we haven't seen them play that much. You kind of assumed that, their big focus, and I think we even talked about this, I'm pretty sure anyway, like we've said it, like it really seemed like the big thing for them was that they were prepping for the RMRs. They were even, hopping between NA and EU so that they could play the NA RMR, which is, I think I saw some people questioning that, but it's where these players have been playing for quite a long time since they initially were on that Renegades roster living in NA. But the thing is that it seemed like that was really the big focus. They were literally not playing events, and it really seemed like some of that was just, they were just literally having that focus be on a major run and getting through the RMR. And every single time we could talk about EXTREMUM, we could always at least point to that and say, well, look, we'll wait and see how the RMR goes. Well, the RMR's gone. All of them are done.
It's so extreme.
Just look straight up. I mean, it's the thing is that if they're not going to play in events or do things like that, then like I'm just gonna say, what's the fucking point? Like what? Like I'm sorry, but like it really. And it's frustrating because I love these guys. I love watching them play. It fucking hurts to see that they're in such a rough spot. It pains me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm wearing one of like the jerseys that they wore at that time. And like, I'm, very keen to see like big successes of AUCS. It's something that I've wanted to see for a long, long time as far as I've been following this scene. Yep. But this is the absolute worst we've seen them.
Yeah. I think the only thing, while this is bad, part of me wonders how bad it would have been or how much of a hollow victory. Yeah. If, because obviously EG are now a Legends team, which in itself is a bit of a joke. But if you think about it, if EXTREMUM had have won, then EXTREMUM would have been a Legends team, and they haven't even been playing. They might have rocked up to the actual main event and started ripping everyone's faces off, but after their form at the RMR, if they had qualified as a Legends team, I didn't think it was deserved, and I think the exact same hate that EG are getting, EXTREMUM would have got.
Yeah, they're on the same level as Complexity. They're a LAN lineup. They've had a lot of consistent results on LAN, and this was the setup for 2022. This was going through tier 3 tournaments in Europe. That's not the hunger that these guys want. These guys want to go to these big tournaments, and the main ticket that they decided was get to the major, show up to the major, and earn those invites in 2022. They've failed to do so. That's the end of this lineup. This lineup needs to be blown up. Jacob is an incredible player, and if EXTREMUM can't hold on to him, he's going to go to these phases or these complexities.
Send him the complexity, man. Oh,
incredible! He's converted to this entry lineup, and he is just taken over. And Ben Ted as well. I feel so sorry for him. He's jumped over to Europe with these guys that know him well by playing against him 20 to 30 maps or something.
Yeah,
and he's been pretty good as well, but it's not good enough all around.
It's just not meshing together.
I hate to say it as well, because I like Liaz and Grat. They're two awesome guys, and I wish them the very best. But their future in EXTREMUM, their time is up. Their time is 100% up. It's not working with the system they have now, and if they stay, the system has to change. Otherwise, what are you doing? What are you doing, fellas? I want to see the days of Renegades. This Renegades will now EXTREMUM lineup get back to the highs of Berlin Major, and it's not going to happen with these guys. So as a Jacob Bentet, this is in my opinion, as a Jacob Bentet, stay on. I'm sorry to Liaz and Grat, but we need to find two players who can play in positions that Azza needs, instead of trying to force these guys, force these circles to fit into squares. It's not going to happen. The shapes don't fit. They have to find the shapes that do, even if that means telling your best mates that their time's up.
Yeah,
rough.
And it's
rough, isn't it? It's brutal, but it has to happen.
Like,
and it has to happen soon. Like, as soon as the major's done, EXTREMUM have the resources to afford this. They've got a lot of money backing the organization. They needed a lot to get the lineup initially, so they've got to be the ones to step up and make the call. And I don't want to see the boys break up, but it's inevitable at this point.
I mean, on that point, you know how you mentioned that, EXTREMUM does have, all that backing as well. I can't imagine that the organization, the people who are funding that, are particularly happy with the results either.
They can't be, because they've been told, I'm sure, by the lineup that this is the way. This is the way that we get EXTREMUM plastered over your IEMs, your DreamHacks. Well, not DreamHack as of next year, but your ESL Pro League, anything huge. This is how you get your logo and your organization.
That's how they get it our way. Get it? That's their thing.
Yeah.
You're just screwdriver in, man. It's just digging it deep. Look, unfortunate to him. Congratulations to EG. I'm not salty about the format, because that's, again, like you said, that's the format that was served up. They needed to make that work. They haven't. So best of luck to EG. EG as a Legends team, they are 100% not going in my pick'em, or if they will, they're going in my 0-3.
They're going 0-3.
They're going my 0-3 pick'em. You've heard it here first.
I think we'll look at doing a snowball roundup pick'em for everybody to laugh at us, but we're going to crush you all.
We're getting the diamond, mate. It's diamond.
It's gonna be perfect.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that sort of, in terms of that's all of IEM fall and the RMR's wrapped up, I guess. But looking at the major, we sort of spoke a little bit about it. Very small representation compared to what it could have been. Yeah. But I look at what we've got there. Honestly, I see Renegades doing a cheeky one, getting into the top 16, and I see Mouz getting the top 16. That's about it.
I mean, in this case, honestly, with the way EXTREMUM has been, I think as far as, majority Oceanic roster, Renegades are the strongest team. I honestly would just even love to see how they'd go playing against EXTREMUM, if that would ever happen.
I thought you were going to say something like, I want to see EXTREMUM play against LFO to see if LFO are better.
I mean,
get EXTREMUM back to Oceania.
LFO have at least been showing some promising results lately. I can't say the same about EXTREMUM.
I would put Sterling over Grat in terms of AWP at the moment.
There's a lot.
Unironically,
a lot that can happen. But
look, unironically, I've seen some people talking about how Sterling would be a great AWP pickup as far as like if roster changes were to go, and I can't say that's exactly wrong.
Get him on complexity, I guess. Yeah.
He's sharp. He's really sharp. But yeah,
that's
the RMR.
Yeah. The major's coming up. Again, 2 weeks from now, there'll be lots of content flowing from all over the place. So I guess, unless it's on Upcomer. No, I'm kidding. Check it all out. Geez, I shouldn't have said that.
Just cut that out. Cut that out.
Yeah, beat that.
I gotcha.
That. No, that's just a joke about. Anyway, moving on.
Let's move quickly.
There'll be lots of major coverage and hopefully a lot of whether it's podcasts or articles on a whole bunch of stuff. Just whatever it is, if it's got your favorite OCE players in there, just read it, support it, because this is the time of the year in the the Counter-Strike calendar where like all allegiances should sort of go and everyone should just enjoy the major. And we're gonna do our best to cover it. Because it's first one in 2 years. So
like this is such a big thing for like the global CS scene, like overall having this event actually go ahead. And I think it's so fitting as well because this is going to be the first Counter-Strike event, not back on LAN, but back on like real LAN, like arena, crowd, all of that good shit, right?
The time zone is so fitting. It's amazing. It's
exactly.
It's like I think 8-hour difference for us. So games start at about 6 p.m. and they'll be wrapped up by about 3 a.m. depending on delays. So
but
I think it's quite good for us. And
that being said, support this major. Absolutely watch it if you can. If they're gonna have that pass thing and they're gonna have pick'ems, absolutely do it. Do whatever you can to support the teams in this overall, whether or not, whatever allegiances, because this is going to be some absolutely insane CS. This is going to be such an incredible event. Probably like one of the most competitive CS, if not the most competitive CS event we'll have ever seen given the circumstances. $2 million prize pool as well. Higher than the normal majors. This is going to be insane. I can't wait for this major to start. But what I also can't wait for it to start, of course, is the playoffs for ESEA Premier starting tonight as we record it.
That was the most segue. That was the most yes, I love apples, but you know what I also like? The ESEA Premier playoffs.
That was like a balloon deflating.
I'll give you points for that.
Had to find some way to do it.
Yeah, so ESEA Premier is kicking off in like an hour and a bit or something from when we're recording this. So next episode, we will certainly be covering that alongside whatever other events. I think ANZ Champs will probably be wrapped up. I think, there's some interesting matchups. The thing that's a little bit important is that Renegades, being in Sweden at the moment, have to forfeit all of their games. So the important part about Premier this season is the winner directly qualifies for season 15 of the ESL Pro League. Taffy, where do you see this event going?
Well, I'll tell you who'll be very happy is Order. They lose their biggest opponent in the side of the bracket in Renegades. Paradox obviously will be happy as well, getting the win out. As far as who we see, I mean, we spoke about it before. Order and LFO. This is a big determining factor of who goes into the rest of the year and probably finishes the year as the number 2 side. Ex-Direwolves, LFO need a title, one of these chief OCE titles under their belt to really push forward their claim. And with no Renegades at this event, they have to be the favourites coming in. They've got the head-to-head matchup down pat. In terms of dark horses, obviously your Paradoxes, your Vertexes. Vertex have been really strong of recent, and now that Roffelko's back on deck after his surgery, I could see them causing an upset. But at the end of the day, I think we all have the consensus. It's LFO or Order. If I were to back one in, I think LFO have got the head-to-head. I think they can outlast. I think it'll be a very interesting best-of-5 final. But LFO to win, and interestingly, get the spot for ESL Pro League 15. Hopefully, should follow with a sponsor.
I believe in Vexite supremacy. That's all I'm going to say. I'm back in Order, but that's just because I want to see Big Declan get his first international. Event.
That's. I'd love to. I'd love to see it. I would love.
And hopefully,
to see
it's a LAN as well. That would be perfect.
I mean, even if you're going for LFO, even if you're hoping for them, you can't be too disappointed in Order getting an international opportunity if it comes to that. Of course, not discounting any other teams. For all we know, we could see some insane upsets. There's still some strong contenders in the form of Paradox, for example. We were talking about before, that Rooster lineup now backed by Paradox as an organization. They've been having quite an interesting season and have some quite interesting results. But yeah, and also the fact that they'll get that forfeit win as well to put them forward to the semifinals, because Renegades can't play, being in Sweden. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see. Out of LFO Order, I think it would be close, but I think if I had to predict it, assuming that's the grand final, I think I just narrowly have to give it to Order, because I think, while I think LFO have definitely been showing a lot of top form, and it certainly has been very strong. I think you can very nearly put them in that second place position. I don't think you can discount how Order's been looking in the long term, as far as their results have gone, as far as how these players have looked on paper, how much they've looked in terms of like every other match they've had. I still think that they very much could come through and shine through in a series like that, especially with a BO5 final with map advantage coming through there. And given that they've probably got, at least from what I can tell, I think they've got the easier shot to get to that grand final, to take that map advantage, because they don't have to contend with Vertex. They don't have, they get to go through against the only other teams they're going to have on that upper bracket side are Paradox and Alk, which I think they should be able to beat any day of the week. Yeah, I think that's where I would reasonably put them, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it the other way. It would have to be narrow if it does go either one way or the other. So it's all up in the air, but both of these teams are very deserving of that international opportunity. Cannot wait to see them perform.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I think that sort of brings us to the close of this episode of Roundup. Pretty good. I'm very excited for the major. I think that's just the thing I can't get out of my head, man. I'm just excited. So we'll do some more coverage on, I'm sure, after the fact. Again, next episode we'll cover all the other events, bits and pieces going on. Yeah. Maybe some other content to sort of close out the year. I know it'll get pretty quiet in December around Christmas, like it always does in OS. But fingers crossed, looking into 2022 even. I know there's some Brisbane LAN discussion going on.
Can't wait for the HLTV coverage of that, Ash.
Yeah. I will talk to Prof and Striker about that immediately. I know they watch the show; they're big fans, so I'm sure they'll see this. Yeah, 100%. Approach me, in fact. So fingers crossed.
Our number 1 and 2 Roundup fans, obviously.
Yeah. Also, I'm really looking forward to all the comments. In all the different places about my haircut. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I don't know why that's my gag today. It's not even good. But yeah.
Are any of your gags or?
Okay, for that you can close out the show now.
Okay. Shit. All right. Well, I deserve that. Thank you all so much for tuning in for another episode. I know that as far as when we've been getting episodes out, consistency hasn't been there, but we're trying to match the general AUCS vibe with consistency. So as far as our schedule goes,
you have to say it like it is.
But no, in all seriousness, where Ash and I both working with doing uni and work commitments and other stuff, of course, have been a bit around with what we've been able to get done with this show, but we're both trying to get more content out and do what we both can to keep doing stuff. We absolutely love doing this type of thing around AUCS, so be very sure to stick around to see some more content coming out, hopefully sometime soon. Especially as we're going to be moving into that kind of break period, see what comes through there. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Be sure to follow us on social medias, at It's2SBS for me, at Schliebo for Ash, at Taffy AUS for Taff. And thank you once again to Blue Microphones and to Snowball Esports for hosting us on their platform. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Sheesh.